Okay, hello business algebra. We have the last set of notes before test 3, which is 7.1, system of inequalities. 6.6, 7.2, and 7.3 were removed because we lost that week, as was chapter 8. So we're just focusing on the stuff we really need. Okay, so graphing an inequality, a linear inequality, is much like graphing a line. You usually want to get it into a y is instead of equal to, greater than or less than form, and then you would graph the line normally as if it were y equal. From there, because it's either greater than equal to or less than or equal to, you'll either shade above, quote unquote, or below. Now there are two ways of doing this. You can look at the graph and decide which is above, and I'll talk the way through it. Or you can take a point on one side or the other side and plug it in. If it works on the inequality, that whole side works. If it doesn't work, that whole side doesn't work, and you would shade the other side. So let's see how this works on the example on the page 1 of the 7.1 and 7.2 notes. Graph 3x minus 2y is less than or equal to 6. So first things first, I'm going to solve for y. So I need to subtract 3x from both sides. So negative 2y is less than or equal to negative 3x plus 6. As a reminder, adding or subtracting a number does not change the direction of the inequality. However, when I divide by negative 2, multiplying or dividing by a number changes the direction of the inequality. I get y is greater than or equal to, negative divided by negative is positive, so positive 3/2 x, then minus 3. So I'm going to go ahead and make my dashes over on the graph. We're going to make this 1, 2, all the way up to 8. Same on the way down. And we'll make 8 left and right as well. You should have graph paper if you printed this out. If not, you can just follow along. Okay, so to graph y is greater than or equal to 3/2 x minus 3, I first need to graph the line y equals 3/2 x minus 3. So that means I have to go down 3, make my dot, my y-intercept. Now this is a rise over run slope, so that's up 3 over 2, up 1, 2, 3, to the right 2 because it's positive, and so on and so forth. I could also go down 3 and to the left 2, because remember negative divided by negative is positive. The point is I have a line. Now, this isn't just y is equal to, though. This is greater than or equal to. So we can talk about what does it mean to be greater than? It really means above. So we're talking about being above this line. Now you're like, this line is kind of diagonal. It's hard to tell what's above or below. I always talk about the coin test. Okay, on the left side, up here, if I dropped a coin, would it land on the line? Yes, so therefore it would be above the line. However, if I'm on this right side, if I drop a coin, it's just going to fall forever. It wouldn't land on the line because you are below the line. So we would shade this upper left side. If you want an algebraic way to do this, take any point on this left side, say 0, 0, and plug it in and see if the inequality works. Is 0 greater than or equal to 3/2 of 0 minus 3? Well, 3/2 of 0 is 0, so 0 minus 3 is negative 3. Is 0 greater than or equal to negative 3? Yes, 0 is greater than or equal to a negative number, so either way you end up shading above the line. You should have a shade tool on your homework, so it shouldn't be too bad. Now, this is when there's a less than or equal to sign, which also applies if there's a greater than or equal to sign. If there's just less than or just greater than, instead of making a solid line here, you make a dotted or dashed line, because this indicates that this line is also part of the answer. If it's a dotted or dashed line, it means that line is not part of the answer. So let's look at how that applies on page 2 of your notes. X is less than 6. So this one doesn't have an equal to sign. which means I am going to only graph a dotted line. And I'm going to go 6 out just because. X is equal to 6. I still graph x is equal to 6. That's still a vertical line. It's where x is 6. And I'm going to graph a dotted or dashed line at x equals 6. Now, this is one of those tricky ones where what is less than mean to for x? You're like, there is no above or below on this line. However, where are the numbers less than 6? They're actually to the left as far as x goes. So if you have a vertical line, you're always to the left for less than, to the right for greater than. So I would shade over here. Now how can I plug in a point for this? Again, plug in 0, 0. So 0 for x and 0 for y. There's no y to plug into, so the only thing we're actually doing is plugging in 0 for x. Is 0 less than 6? Yes. So I would shade the area where 0, 0 is. Let's see what this looks like with an actual line, though. Y is greater than 3x plus 4. Make my dashes. Okay, y is greater than 3x plus 4. So again, this is a dotted line because there is no equal sign. I'm going to start at 4, my intercept. Ignore that down there. So here's my intercept, 4. Now again, my rise over run is up 3 over 1 or down 3 to the left 1. Because negative over negative is again positive. Okay, so I need to make a line, but because this is only a greater than, I need to make a dotted line. On your homework, you will have a dotted line tool. It's going to suck if you do the problem wrong because you forgot to put the right kind of line. Now, where is greater than that? Again, if you use the coin drop, it's going to be the left side. So what does it mean if it's the left side? It means that 0, 0 is actually not in the right side. So if you plug in 0, 0, it should not work. So let's just try that to make sure. Is 0 greater than 3 times 0 plus 4? Well, 3 times 0 is just 0. So is 0 greater than 4? No. If 0, 0 doesn't work, that means that whole side doesn't work, and you would shade the other side. And lastly, let's do the bottom one. Y is less than or equal to negative 3/4 x minus 2. Okay, so this one is a regular equal to sign, so we're going to graph a regular line. Let me put my dashes. Okay. Now these are all already solved for y. You know, on the first one we had to solve for y ourselves. I figured with this one we'll just let it be solved for y to start. Okay, so where do we start here? At negative 2. Now what does it mean for a slope of negative 3/4? That means down 3 and over 4. So down 3 and right 4, or up 3 and to the left 4, because that negative could be anywhere. Now I get to make a solid line because there's an equal to sign this time. Now it's pretty clear where less than is on this graph. It's going to be below. But just in case you can't see the above or below, let's plug in 0, 0. Now, we don't expect 0, 0 to work. Is 0 less than or equal to negative 3/4 times 0 minus 2? That's just 0. So 0 less than or equal to negative 2? No. So when 0, 0 doesn't work, that means you shade the other side. Now in the second half of this video, we'll see what happens when we have multiple linear inequalities and what we do with them, how we handle the shading and the graphing when there's 2 of them.